Have you ever wondered why certain things in your life seem to pull you in directions you never expected? Sometimes it's not coincidence, it's the purpose of God knocking on the door of your heart. Moses never planned to be a deliverer. He was just tending sheep when he heard a voice coming from a burning bush. That's how God works. He appears in the ordinary, turns the common into the extraordinary, and uses simple people to accomplish the impossible. Maybe your desert isn't a punishment, but preparation for a miracle. The prelude to a Bible story that He's still writing through you. If you're searching to understand your calling, strengthen your faith in God, and discover how to align your life with the divine purpose. This video is for you. Here you'll find a Christian message, powerful prayer, Christian motivation, and a devotional that speaks straight to your soul. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because together we're going to learn how to recognize the presence of God in every detail of the journey. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching us from? I want to know how far this prayer of faith is reaching. There are moments in life when everything seems to move at the same rhythm, as if we were stuck on autopilot. And it's precisely there in the ordinary that the extraordinary tends to happen. It's in that silence of routine that many hear a powerful prayer whispering within, a gentle voice awakening something that was asleep. That's the presence of God, calling by name, reminding that there is a greater purpose waiting to be discovered. The curious thing is that God rarely shouts. He speaks in the quiet, between a cup of coffee and a distracted walk. It's that feeling that there's more to life than what one is living. It's the heart burning, not with anxiety, but with faith in God, that unexplainable certainty that life has a direction, even when the map seems blank. This is the first touch of the purpose of God, awakening the soul before moving the feet. Many expect a grand sign, an angel knocking at the door, or a shining revelation. But most biblical characters were called in simple situations. A fisherman by the sea, a shepherd tending sheep, a young woman preparing dinner. The greatness of the calling is not in the setting, but in the willingness to listen. And listening sometimes is the deepest form of a prayer of faith. It's interesting to think that God's calling speaks more about who we are than about what we do. He doesn't look for our abilities, but for a heart that beats with sincerity. Moses wasn't called because he was eloquent, but because he was sensitive to the fire that did not burn out. When the soul awakens, even routine becomes an altar, and life itself turns into a living devotional. Imagine someone who, in the middle of chaos, decides to silence their phone and simply listen. It's in that moment that the Spirit whispers directions that can't be found in self-help books, but in the stories of the Bible, stories of ordinary people who became extraordinary. The secret: listen before acting. A powerful prayer begins when the soul learns to be still enough to feel the presence of God. And of course, there's always that divine nudge, that unsettling feeling of, I need to change, something is calling me to more. That's no coincidence. It's the purpose of God in motion. It's the same God who once called Abraham to leave his tent, now calling to leave the comfort zone. When He awakens the soul, the impossible no longer seems so far away, and Christian motivation comes alive again. The calling often shows up as discomfort. You know, when everything that once felt normal starts to lose its shine. That's God adjusting the focus, taking the eyes off distractions and pointing them toward what truly matters. It's the beginning of restoration, not just of plans, but of identity itself. Whoever answers the call begins to see meaning even in what once seemed like loss. Some resist, of course. The fear of failure, of looking crazy, of leaving the certain for the uncertain. But the Christian message has always been an invitation to courage. None of the biblical characters knew all the details when they said yes. The calling is more about faith than certainty, more about surrender than control. And it's in that surrender that the miracle happens, the miracle of discovering who one truly is. In the end, the calling doesn't come with a manual. but with a promise. And when the soul awakens to that, everything changes, the way one looks, works, and loves. Life gains a new rhythm, guided by faith in God and sustained by the presence of God. But of course, awakening is only the beginning. Because when the heart says yes, fear begins to whisper, "Am I capable?" And that's where the real journey begins. When God calls, the heart trembles. Not because the calling is heavy, but because it reveals something far beyond what a person believes they can handle. Just like Moses before the burning bush, many look at themselves and say, "Who am I for this?" In that moment, fear tries to disguise itself as caution, and doubt puts on the mask of reason. Yet it is right there, between faith in God and insecurity, that the soul begins to understand what it truly means to trust. Moses, standing before the divine voice, offered excuses. He said he couldn't speak well, that no one would listen to him. And how often does the same thing happen today? The calling comes, and the mind tries to negotiate with God as if he were unaware of human weakness. The purpose of God has never depended on perfection, but on willingness. And when there is a prayer of faith, the impossible begins to move, even while the heart still races. Fear is often the first enemy of Christian motivation. It whispers that it can't be done, that it's too late, that others would do it better. Yet the stories of the Bible are full of people who felt fear and still moved forward. Gideon thought he was the least in his family. Jeremiah too young, Peter too impulsive, and yet all were shaped by the presence of God, because he doesn't call the perfect, he equips the willing. Some say courage is the absence of fear, but in truth, it's moving forward while trembling. It's saying, "Here I am," even when the voice still shakes. Moses learned that God's power doesn't manifest in self-confidence, but in a powerful prayer that admits weakness. When one prays with faith, fear bows down, and the Christian message gains strength through small acts of obedience. Fear tries to paralyze, but faith sets free. It's like walking across a narrow bridge over a canyon. The secret isn't looking down, but looking ahead. Keeping one's eyes fixed on God is what turns weakness into strength and doubt into testimony. When the mind screams, "I can't," the presence of God whispers, "I am with you," and it's that voice that sustains the journey. Insecurity is the reflection of a heart still measuring purpose by its own hands. It forgets that the miracle doesn't depend on human control, but on obedience. When someone prays, even without understanding, saying, "Lord, let your will be done in me," heaven moves. The purpose of God blooms right where fear thought it saw only desert. Many run from their calling because they think they don't have what it takes. But God specializes in turning ordinary staffs into instruments of deliverance. He did it with Moses, and he still does today. What's missing isn't ability, but trust. It's letting faith in God go beyond logic and awaken the restoration that comes from full surrender. When fear tries to take over, the best answer is a prayer of faith. It's in that intimate conversation with the Creator that the heart finds direction. Faith doesn't ignore fear, it puts it in perspective. If God sent you, He'll sustain you. The Christian message has always been this: to walk even without seeing the end of the road, trusting that each step will be held by grace. Fear and insecurity are only the shadow of a purpose still being formed, and every birth brings discomfort before life emerges. The same is true with calling. Growth hurts, but in that pain, God shapes us. Moses left the bush with the same trembling voice, but a strengthened heart, and what once seemed like weakness became a tool of deliverance. After all, it's in the desert of fear that the process of preparation begins. Before fulfilling the purpose of God, one must go through the process of being shaped. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before freeing the people of Israel, and that time was not wasted. It was training. The desert is the classroom where silence teaches more than words. It's where faith in God is refined, patience is tested, and character is molded. Nothing happens by chance when one walks under the presence of God. The process of preparation is the season when God works behind the scenes. While many see a pause, heaven sees construction. There are days when it seems that nothing is happening, but it's there that the roots of a powerful prayer grow deeper. It's the kind of phase where one learns to depend on God, not out of obligation, but out of vital necessity. Just as manna fell daily, grace also renews itself with every sunrise. Moses learned in the desert the value of anonymity. He who had grown up in a palace had to become a shepherd. God took him away from the crowd to teach him in the quiet. And many times he does the same. Before placing someone before people, he places them before their own reflection. The desert reveals whether a prayer of faith is genuine or dependent on circumstance. During preparation, time seems slower, yet God's clock is never late. He uses what feels like delay to align the heart with the purpose of God. It's a period where pride breaks, human certainty dissolves, and the Christian message begins to take root within the soul. It's in this in-between space that true dependence is born. Those who try to skip the process lose the miracle of spiritual maturity. The desert teaches what comfort never could. It teaches how to discern God's voice in the wind, to see miracles in small things, a glass of water, a new day, a subtle deliverance. The presence of God becomes so tangible that even silence feels sacred. It's in this time of preparation that one understands it's not about speed, but direction. The daily devotional, even when simple, becomes fuel for the soul. Christian motivation doesn't come from success, but from consistency. Reading the stories of the Bible during this time is like looking into a mirror. In them, one finds courage to keep going, even when everything seems still. The process also reveals that God never wastes pain. Every tear waters the soil of purpose. Moses had to face isolation to develop empathy. Those who never experience silence rarely learn to listen. And it's in that apparent emptiness that God prepares the heart to restore others, because restoration begins inside those who obey. The desert, therefore, is not punishment but protection. It's the season in which God safeguards the calling until the heart is ready. While many desire to be seen, He teaches how to remain. The powerful prayer spoken in secret has greater weight than speeches made in public. And those who are faithful in obscurity will be used with authority when the time comes. The preparation is long but necessary. It's the time to align what one does with who one is. When the heart finally understands that the purpose of God is more about transformation than achievement, the desert stops being a prison and becomes a school. And it's precisely when it seems there's no way out that something supernatural begins to move. The scene shifts, and before your eyes unfolds the encounter with the impossible. There comes a moment in the journey when the purpose feels far greater than one's own strength. It's when the purpose of God leads us to the edge, not to defeat us, but to show who is truly in control. Moses, standing before the Red Sea, saw the impossible stretch out ahead and the enemy closing in behind. No human calculation could solve that dilemma. It was then that faith in God became the only bridge between fear and the miracle. The impossible is the field where God proves His faithfulness. When every exit seems blocked, He opens a way where there is no road. The sea didn't part because Moses shouted louder, but because he obeyed, lifting his staff in an act of prayer of faith. Sometimes the simplest step becomes the key to a miracle, a gesture, a word, an act of courage. The crossing of the Red Sea is not merely a historical event. It's a portrait of the human journey with God. How many times does the heart find itself trapped between fear and promise? It's in those moments that the presence of God manifests most powerfully. He doesn't just open the path. He closes the waters over everything that once tried to imprison us. The purpose of God doesn't remove challenges. It transforms how we face them. When one learns to trust, the impossible becomes a stage for divine glory. Moses didn't have to fight, he simply stood firm. The same happens today. Some battles are won in silence, with the heart in powerful prayer and the eyes fixed on heaven. Many want to see the miracle before taking the step. But God often moves the waters only after the foot touches the sea. Faith is not passive. It's movement. It's advancing even when the end isn't visible. That's how the Christian message comes alive, when belief stops being theory and becomes action. The daily devotional becomes a compass, and Christian motivation is born from the certainty that God never fails. At the meeting point with the impossible, fear shouts, but faith answers. It's the contrast between human limitation and divine power. When trust is placed in the Lord, walls turn into steps and despair becomes testimony. The presence of God changes the scene without changing the circumstances. It first changes the heart. The impossible also reveals who walks beside us. The same people who once murmured saw the sea open. Likewise, when the purpose of God is revealed, even those who doubted surrender to the power of faith. Every step taken in confidence becomes a living sermon, a Christian message without words, inspiring others to believe as well. This kind of faith is built through practice. It begins with small acts of surrender, daily choices, decisions that challenge fear. The impossible isn't an obstacle. It's an invitation to intimacy with God. It's there, between despair and hope, that the soul tastes restoration, the moment when strength no longer comes from within, but from above. When the sea parts, life is never the same. The people crossed over, but Moses came out transformed. The man who once doubted became a leader. The timid became a prophet. And that's how the impossible fulfills its purpose. It shapes us for what's next. Because when the sea closes behind, the desert of promise lies ahead, the place where purpose stops being personal and begins to set others free. The purpose of God is never just about one person. Just as Moses was called to free an entire nation, each one of us is invited to transform the environment around us. The calling begins within, but it expands like a river that overflows, reaching lives thirsty for hope. When someone walks in faith in God, what was once individual becomes collective, and the presence of God begins to work through every simple act of love and obedience. To serve is the essence of purpose. Moses was not called only to leave Egypt, but to lead others into freedom. The same happens today. The true meaning of calling is not status, but service. When the soul understands this, even the simplest act, like listening to someone or offering a word of encouragement, becomes a living devotional. That's when the Christian message takes practical form and transforms hearts. The miracle of deliverance doesn't happen only when the sea opens, but when someone decides to become a channel of God's grace. Every gesture of compassion is an extension of divine love. And the most beautiful part is that while helping others find freedom, the servant also becomes free. It's the cycle of restoration. God heals through those who learn to heal. The stories of the Bible reveal a pattern. No one fulfills their calling alone. Moses had Aaron. David had Jonathan. Paul had Timothy. Purpose blooms in community because God manifests where there is unity. A powerful prayer made on behalf of someone else has multiplying strength, and Christian motivation becomes contagious when it's born out of love. Those who live to serve discover a joy the world cannot offer. Fulfillment doesn't come from applause, but from impact. When someone is guided by the presence of God, life stops being about personal achievement and becomes about spiritual legacy. True success is seeing others reach the promise because of your testimony. Fulfilling the purpose of God means becoming a bridge between heaven and earth. It's being the answer to someone's prayer of faith. It's understanding that life gains meaning when it becomes an instrument of the divine. Serving is not a burden, it's a privilege. And in that service, the heart finds fullness and purpose. Moses' calling didn't end when the people left Egypt. In fact, that's when the greatest challenge began, teaching a generation to depend on God. Likewise, those who live their purpose must understand that setting others free is a continuous process, one that demands patience, love, and perseverance. It's the daily practice of trusting that the presence of God keeps guiding, even when the path feels dry. Christian service isn't measured by size, but by faithfulness. What seems small to human eyes is great in God's sight. A simple gesture can be the seed of eternal transformation. In this, the purpose of God reveals its beauty. When the ego decreases, love grows. And where there is love, there is miracle. The true purpose isn't just to free the body, but the heart. It's leading people to the one who brings complete freedom. Moses led the people to the promise, but it was God who turned the journey into communion. The same is true for us. The calling doesn't end when we help someone, because the voice that keeps calling invites us to continue freeing, teaching, and loving without measure. The purpose of God in your life isn't a one-time event. It's a constant conversation between you and the Creator. God didn't speak to you just once. He keeps calling, guiding, and reminding you that there is still more. Even when everything seems steady, the Spirit whispers new directions. God's calling evolves with time. Every season of your life carries a unique Christian message, a fresh invitation to grow, serve, and stay in the presence of God. Maybe you think your calling ended once you reached a goal. But God doesn't work with endings. He works with new beginnings. Just like Moses, who reached the borders of the promised land and still kept hearing God's voice, you too are being led into new purposes. Faith in God is the thread that ties every stage together, ensuring your journey never loses meaning, even when the path feels uncertain. Know this, God's voice doesn't go silent because you stopped speaking. It simply changes tone. Sometimes it speaks through scripture, other times through people, a song, a sunset, or even a thought that stirs something deep within you. You must learn to recognize that voice amid the world's noise. When you cultivate a powerful prayer life, your heart becomes sensitive enough to know when it's time to pause, listen, and obey. The secret is to stay available. God isn't looking for perfection. He's looking for willingness. He wants to use what's already in your hands, just as he used Moses' staff, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. When you live with that awareness, even your daily routines become part of a devotional, and every encounter becomes a chance to spread the Christian message through love and faith. Christian motivation is born from the certainty that God is still speaking to you, even on the days when everything feels silent. He speaks through small victories, through disappointments that teach you perseverance, and through moments when trust is all you have left. A prayer of faith is the thread that keeps your soul connected to heaven. It's not just asking, it's listening. It's allowing God to reshape your perspective while you learn to recognize the voice that keeps calling. The presence of God walks with you every step of the way, even when you don't realize it. His calling isn't a passing emotion. It's a deep impulse that moves your heart when no one is watching. It's a constant reminder that there's still something to fulfill, someone to love, a story to impact. It's the purpose of God taking shape within you, quietly but powerfully. Every time you say yes to his call, something new awakens inside you. God reignites the flame that never went out. Restoration begins from within. What once held you back becomes your testimony. Faith in God stops being theory and becomes a way of life. You start to see purpose in waiting and hope even in loss. The world needs people like you, those who still listen, who even when tired still say, "Here I am," who don't see the call as a religious event but as a way of living. When faith becomes action and love turns into attitude, the Christian message gains power and transforms everything around you. That's when the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the presence of God is revealed in everyday life. God is still calling you. He calls in silence, in pain, in joy, and in transition. He calls in the unexpected and the ordinary. And every time you answer, something supernatural happens. Because the calling never ends. It renews itself every day. And when you say yes, you finally understand the journey isn't about arriving. It's about walking with him, hearing step by step the voice that has never stopped calling your name. Just as Moses removed his sandals before the presence of God, this is your moment to do the same. Remove everything that keeps you from hearing his call: fear, doubt, pride, exhaustion. God is not distant. He is calling you by name. And the purpose of God for your life has already begun, even if you can't yet see the full path ahead. Maybe you've been waiting for a grand sign. But the truth is, the call is already inside you, pulsing, whispering, asking for a response. Close your eyes and listen. That restlessness you feel is no coincidence. It's the breath of the Spirit reminding you that there is more. It's time to rekindle your faith in God, to make a powerful prayer, and to let the Christian message come alive through your actions. God wants to restore what time has wounded, heal what pain has silenced, and reignite the flame that frustration tried to extinguish. Restoration begins when you decide to say yes. A prayer of faith isn't about fancy words, it's about sincerity. It's opening your heart and allowing the miracle to start within you. You're not reading this by accident. Everything you've lived up to this point has prepared you for this moment. The purpose of God has always carried your name within it. And he's saying, I'm still here, and what I've planned for you is greater than anything you've left behind. Take a deep breath, believe, and move forward. The presence of God goes before you. Now it's your turn. What will you do with the call you're hearing? Will you keep delaying, or will you respond today? Life changes the moment you choose to obey. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when you decide to walk by faith. If this Christian message touched your heart, put it into practice. Take a few minutes each day for your devotional, to give thanks, to reflect, and to reconnect with the divine. Let this Christian motivation become the fuel that drives you to act with love, faith, and purpose. And if something within you has awakened right now, don't ignore it. God is still calling you, and what he has for you is more than a destination. It's a journey of transformation, communion, and meaning. If you want to keep growing spiritually, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and walk with me on this journey of faith. Because the call doesn't end here, it's just beginning, and the next step is yours. Have you ever wondered why certain things in your life seem to pull you in directions you never expected? Sometimes it's not coincidence. It's the purpose of God knocking on the door of your heart. Moses never planned to be a deliverer. He was just tending sheep when he heard a voice coming from a burning bush. That's how God works. He appears in the ordinary, turns the common into the extraordinary, and uses simple people to accomplish the impossible. Maybe your desert isn't a punishment, but preparation for a miracle. The prelude to a Bible story that he's still writing through you. If you're searching to understand your calling, strengthen your faith in God, and discover how to align your life with the divine purpose, this video is for you. Here you'll find a Christian message, powerful prayer, Christian motivation, and a devotional that speaks straight to your soul. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because together, we're going to learn how to recognize the presence of God in every detail of the journey. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching us from? I want to know how far this prayer of faith is reaching.